Welcome to our 18th webinar. I'm here with Karen, and we're going to talk today about a multitude of things regarding her art and how she's managed to find success within the Etsy and online shopping landscape. You get to learn more about her as she's been doing this for quite most of your career, I would say. Is that right, Karen?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome. So let's start with the first question. And I kind of want to know more about how you got started as an artist.
Sure. Yeah. I've pretty much always been an artist. I feel like most people that are artists always have been. Um, I didn't become a fine artist though until I learned a lot, took a lot of classes, learned from other artists. And that was probably about 25 years ago. And really took off after I studied in DC, different workshops, and got into an art alliance there and studied at the Corcoran School of Fine Art, and it just took off after that.
Awesome. And what school did you attend, if you don't mind me asking, or what type of courses?
Yeah, I studied at UC Davis, just whatever art class I could take there, drawing, whatever they had. And then the school, Corcoran School of Fine Art in DC.
Oh, wow. So you kind of are like really well educated and you kind of studied like,
Well, and I learned most from all the other artists' workshops, really. You really learn by doing, um, painting every day, studying with other artists. That's how you do it.
oh, that's really cool. And so like you kind of took things up from like your fellow colleagues, if you will, and
Yep.
learned from them more than anything. That's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, yeah. In fact, palette knife painting wasn't taught back in the day that I learned to paint. It wasn't a thing. And I actually learned from a student in my class. He was just doing it all with a knife, and I was watching him, and that was what I wanted to do.
And the rest was history.
Like that's
Yeah.
the coolest thing I ever saw. I have to do that. And that was probably, gosh, 25 years ago or so.
Wow. And like if, I'll show some clips of like your website and all, but like all of your art is palette knife. And who knew just looking at one student's work would lead to, making that your career.
Other people inspire you all the time. I mean, that's more than a teacher, I believe. Yeah.
Wow, wonderful. I think that's really inspiring, and I think people kind of could take from this is like, even if it's outside of the classroom, just looking for inspiration amongst your, fellow creatives is enough to learn. It's enough to take tips. It's enough to inspire as well.
It really is the best way to learn from each other, and joining art groups and making friends that are artists is key.
Mm,
That's
I
how you,
bet.
yeah, how you grow.
Awesome. And so from that creative, space that you were in, how did you then start kind of then selling that art, monetizing, your print,
Yeah. So I think my daughter, when she was about 12 years old, built a website for me. And that helped a lot because it was just online, was just getting started.
hmm
And at the time, I was in whatever gallery I could get into, but they were selling pretty slowly. And then eBay happened. It was a brand new thing. And there were a few artists on there. And so I started auctioning paintings every day because I was painting them every day. And it just took off. And pretty soon it were me and a few other artists that were auctioning them off every day. And that was the beginning of the online art thing.
Oh, it's really impressive because it sounds like you kind of started when, selling and trading and auctioning was just started online.
Just started. Yeah. Yeah. It was fun. It was huge because it was brand new and very exciting.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and then how did it lead to Etsy then? Because, I don't think that was around during the time eBay
No,
started.
no, it wasn't. eBay was great for maybe a year or two, and then it got inundated with all kinds of junk, and didn't
Mhm.
the artists kind of we were struggling competing against copiers and all kinds of problems. And I noticed a few of my friends from eBay going to Etsy. They're like, where are they going? And I started asking, because this is how you learn from other artists and fellow friends. And yeah, that we all moved to Etsy. There were maybe 5 of us from eBay that all went over there.
Oh, wow. And how would you describe your growth there? And like, did it start slow or did it kind of just like, were you in the frenzy of the big, Etsy
Etsy was
start?
very small when we all were there, maybe hundreds of artists. It was very tiny. Yeah, so we just, I don't know, we listed every day because if you're a prolific daily painter, you have a lot to list, and that helped you be seen. And pretty soon we just started selling. It has like, I think, some sort of algorithm. If you sell, you keep selling.
Awesome. And like, so was this just originals or did you eventually start on reproductions?
Originally, it was only originals every day, 2 or 3. So I was painting prolifically and as fast as I could and as much as I could. So that's a lot of work. I probably did that for 10 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I noticed people starting to sell prints. And I thought, what a good idea. That's a wonderful idea. If someone will buy the paper prints. So I found a local printer to print some paper prints, and I was doing that for a while, pretty successfully. And then I was contacted by you guys, the original people of Lumaprints before,
Yeah.
15 years ago, whenever it started in Anaheim. They contacted me and said, we would love to send you some samples and hope you can use our product if you like it. And I really liked it. It's very high quality. It's better than what I was using, and faster. I was having to sometimes wait weeks to get a print,
Mm.
and you guys did it in days, and sometimes same day. And so, yeah, so then I started with paper prints, and then it became canvas prints and other things, and it's been great. And now that's pretty much the majority bulk of my business, really, is the prints, which is great for me because I'm slowing down in my creative process. I painted so many thousands of paintings that now I'm not every day painting. I'm painting maybe a couple days a week, which is perfect for me now, in this phase of my life. And so the prints have really been a blessing. I'm very
Awesome.
happy to have that as a staple.
That's great. And what benefits a lot of artists is for having reproduction is not only like that steady stream of people buying it
Yeah,
without you having to create much, but it also creates a good hybrid of, you sell your originals, those usually go for higher prices,
that's right.
and then your reproductions, they're a lot more feasible for someone who probably,
Yeah,
doesn't, want to buy the original or can't afford it, but they
yeah,
still appreciate your work. And to some degree, that's networking as well, because
yeah,
someone might see that reproduction in someone's wall and they'll be like, oh, I like
yeah.
that. And it could
Yeah.
lead to an original purchase, which is always great.
It is. It's really great. And like you said, it's perfect, a perfect combination because you can still sell your originals, but then the prints um just go and go and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's great about Etsy is that it's pretty, what's the word? It's pretty friendly to both types of selling, the originals and also the reproductions.
Hmm.
Are there any other attributes about Etsy that you enjoy, or maybe some things you would like to see from it?
Um, I've been there a long time, I'd say about 15 years. So it's really grown.
Hmm.
I think one of the great things about that's good and bad. The good thing is that you get a large audience. They advertise on TV. It's a big company now, so it's seen by a lot of people. The bad thing about that is that it's also got a lot of not necessarily handmade creative things on there anymore. Some of it is just, it's kind of, I'm a little worried it might be turning into sort of an eBay thing where all this junk is on there and it's not
Hmm.
the quality that it was originally. You can still find the quality, but you really, like anything else these days, you have to um, look at the reviews and look at the product and the descriptions and really, you know, be smart about purchasing because it's so big.
Yeah. And this is kind of a question that I just was thinking about just now too. Would you say that you get your customers going into your pages on your products on Etsy through Etsy itself as a search engine, or are you getting it from, your own connections through your social media?
Yeah, they have a really great statistics page where you can look at all that when you
Yeah.
have a storefront. I think some artists get it from their social media if they have a big following. I think most of mine is driven from Etsy ads.
Oh, very interesting.
So yeah, most of it, I'd say maybe half.
Oh, wow.
And then the other is broken up a little bit social media, a little bit um, other things, other websites and things can drive it too. So you want to make sure if you're an artist online that you are on a lot of different sites because that
Mhm.
helps you get found.
Yeah, it's really good for just your name popping up more frequently when they look up your name. I always tell people spread far and wide, and it's kind of like putting casting a net out there.
That's right. Yeah. Can't have
Um,
much out there. So
exactly.
yeah,
Hmm.
that helps.
And then I guess as like an over-encompassing question, like what have you found successful about selling your artwork, not only online, but also, offline in marketplaces or
Yeah.
conventions or all that?
Yeah. I work with a lot of artists over the years. My daughter's also a starting artist in Washington, and she is right now at the point that I was in when I was that age, which is going to art shows, art markets, bringing your art into coffee shops and art groups. And it's really fun because it's a social thing as well
Yeah.
as really getting your name out there because you want to, like you said, spread a wide net. Um, so a beginning artist should put their art everywhere. Um, and then you can do the same online.
Hmm.
Start putting it in every little place that you can online, Fine Art America, whatever it is, just all over the place so that it's seen. Um, yeah, but joining local art groups is one of the best ways to get venues to
Oh.
know where they have markets and what coffee shops and little galleries are open to new artists and things. So that's definitely something that everyone should do. My husband was military, so we moved every year for 25 years, 27 years.
Hmm.
So I was always like a starting off in a new place person.
Yeah.
So every time we would move to a new city, I would join the art group, run around and find venues to put my art out because selling it in person is always fun. And you can always do that as well.
Hmm. It seems like, there's a benefit to you moving so often is that, you appreciate the local growth that you can make within your community
Yeah.
and like reaching out to local artists. And not only is it like a new marketplace, if you will, but it's also a place where, you could make some long-lasting connections as well. And so when I think one of the downfalls of sometimes the internet is that sometimes it's oversaturated.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's so much out there that it's hard to find your voice there.
Mhm.
And so, hearing you say that, you went to those local coffee shops and you talked to people about, any markets going on in the area, that's like a great start for any
It
starting
really
artist.
is. And it's so fun. And they
I
can
bet.
sell prints at those markets as well. I mean, sometimes beginning artists really hate to part with their work because
Hmm.
they just made it and they love it and they have trouble. My daughter kind of is like, I don't know if I want to sell I love this painting. I just love it and I don't want to give it up, but I'll make a print and I'll sell the print. And they can do that too. So they don't only have to sell the originals. You can start off even just selling prints. People love to buy them. They're, like you said, they're
Hmm.
affordable. And so that's just go to the art markets with note cards and prints and different things and a few originals, I always say. Have a because somebody will really, if the price is right, you might want to part with it.
That's so smart. I always hear about reproductions, but taking a couple originals, you might make a good, amount on that day and
Yeah,
Who
and
knows?
if you don't want to sell it, you can put a sold sign on it, but at least have it there so
Yeah.
that people can see that you are a creator. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really smart. I haven't thought about that. So that's really interesting stuff, especially, again, starting artists here up, reproductions are good, but also,
Mhm.
share your originals, have them out there for people to see them.
Very important. Yep.
And kind of moving on into now that we're kind of in autumn, the leaves are changing and all that.
Yeah.
It's the time of year where people are buying more gifts, they're buying more sentimental items. Have you noticed a difference or a change with your customers during this holiday season?
Well, not a change in the customers really, but the customers are always the same. Our customers are great. They're the best. They really are. Um, they, I've never really had a bad experience with art customers. But this is the time when it starts to pick up. Next month will get really busy.
Hmm.
So to prepare for that, you just really um, start to stock up a little bit. I'll start painting every day, and I've already sold a couple Christmas paintings. So it seems awful early, but people start shopping, even before October for Christmas things, at least winter scenes and winter paintings. So it's cold in some places, not here in Southern California, but in other places it's snowing and very cold. So you can start, painting all your winter scenes and doing more stockpiling things that will sell around the holidays. Because I hate to sell out in early November,
Hmm.
and not have enough of, I know something that will sell the holiday paintings and things. So definitely want to start preparing early.
Yes.
Even in the summer is really when I should start preparing. But I get behind and life catches up with me and I'm traveling or whatever. So um, usually if I'm not starting by September, I'm behind.
Yeah, and just, it's a good point though. Start early because those winter landscapes or winter-esque feels, people really attach themselves to those and are more likely to buy at that time when they're feeling like, time to refresh my home with some new imagery. They usually are looking online for all that kind of stuff. So wonderful advice to give.
Yeah, and
Um,
the winter, you make more as an artist in those 2 months, November and December, than you do almost the rest of the year. So you really have to have a stockpile. Yeah,
Mm, that's good to hear. And with the influx of sales, it's great to hear that, you've had success during that time of the month. I think some people tend to underestimate how many people are actually buying online, but yeah, that's when people are more
yeah,
likely to invest in the home. And this is something that I've noticed with even big retailers. The summer is not the best time to be in the market because people are spending it on vacation, they're spending it on travel and outings. But as soon as it starts getting a little cold, people want
yeah.
to be indoors more. They want to beautify their rooms and their homes. So they are looking into art as well. So I always let people know, like, prepare more importantly for that season.
That's right. Yeah. And so you have to think about what is selling and what monthly will sell, seasonally will sell. You really do. I try to always make sure I have enough skiers and uh, cardinal winter birds and all kinds of things in the wintertime. Yeah, because people like that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And, having those types of images is always really a good, solid sell. Um, you know, you said in your, years ago you used to do a lot more painting and you've kind of slowed down because you've been able to and because your life, has shifted towards that type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's still, I imagine kind of busy. Like, how do you manage to find the time for your creativity, but also manage and process those orders as they come in?
Yeah. Well, the good news about that is when you're young, you have tons of energy. You can do that. I don't know. I went 24 hours a day when I was younger. Just, I don't know how I did it actually, but a lot of it is having help if you can get it. My husband is really good at bookkeeping and taxes and all that kind of finance and stuff like that. So he does a lot of that for me, which is really great. It's good if you have a friend or you can hire somebody to help with some of that if you have a relatively big business. If not, you just have to find the balance, you know. Always make sure your family's the priority. You never want your child to come up and say, "Mommy, I'm hungry. What's for dinner?" And you don't stop painting. So, you know, make sure that the kids are the priority, and you just do it when you can. I can't just sit down and just start painting. I have to really feel it. I think
Hmm.
most artists are probably like that. Like I have to go for a walk and get stimulated, get an idea in my head about see something beautiful, and then you have to paint it right then. So I don't know. I remember that I used to just stop whatever I was doing when I had an idea. Like right now, not in the middle of dinner, but at some point, this is what I have to paint this today because it'll go away if I don't. So you just find the time, find the balance.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you bring up a good point. For me, I mean, I'm not an artist per se, but I do know when the creativity like it hits you, it's fleeting, and sometimes the next day you won't have it anymore. Or you're
Yeah.
like, what did I want to draw again? And it's great that you're able to then like kind of not prioritize it per se, but you're able to say, okay, I do want to do that, and I
Yeah.
want to do it soon.
Yeah.
Um, and
Write it
it's great.
down. I always find if you make a list of
Hmm.
your ideas. So if you can't do it right away, a list like I wanted to paint this landscape with these colors, maybe draw a little sketch. So at least you can go back to that. Taking photos is very helpful too. Everywhere I go, with your phone, you can get decent photos, and then you can go back and look at them and go, yeah, that was what I wanted to paint right there. So that helps too, because you can't always do it right at the moment.
Yeah, of course. And I know that for a lot of other artists, creating art, making it is not always their main career. Sometimes they have another job that they have to go to, and then they have to paint.
Yeah,
So writing down those ideas and taking pictures and kind of
yeah.
categorizing and detailing what you want to do later on is so helpful.
It's so helpful. And then if you can't get right in the mood to do it when you have the time, try to get yourself there, put on some music, uh, refresh your pictures, run them through your computer until you see them and you see what's in your mind that you wanted to create, and that you can get yourself back there. Yeah. Takes
Yeah.
a little work, but you can.
Hmm. All right. Thank you so much for, your informative like advice. It seems like you've been doing this and you're really well, established on not only Etsy, but as an artist. So thank you so much for, talking and giving advice to future artists and artists that are probably already established, but could, be benefited by a couple more
Yeah, thanks.
tidbits.
Yeah, it's fun. It's great. I'm happy to help. Thank you.
And where can people find your art?
Everywhere, but mostly Etsy, the current things. So it's karensfineart.net. Yep.
Awesome. All right, guys, you heard that. Go check out her works. We'll show some here during our interview, but feel free to explore more of it if you find yourself wanting to, look through the selection a bit more in detail. Thank you so much, Karen. It was great talking to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate it.